Okay. Okay, great. Here we go. Boom. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this afternoon. We have an incredible guest with us, who's going to give us some amazing information as well as inspiration. And that is none other than someone who is very close to our family, who, out of respect, I would say, call her Auntie Sabora and Aunt Sabora, as many of us, but for the work that she's done in the community, her work in the nation as a drill instructor, as a captain, so many things that she's accomplished as a woman, none other than Sabora Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, ma'am.
Alaikum salam, alaikum salam, beloved. How are you?
I'm doing phenomenal, ma'am. Thank you very much. This means so much to us that you took time out of your busy schedule to come on the People's Podcast. So we're very excited to have you.
I am honored, deeply honored that you asked me to participate in this. This is a blessing, and thank you so much. There's no way I couldn't swing by and chop it up with you on off the record. So I'm excited.
Okay, great. My sister Mimi and Naima both send you the greetings, and Mimi says you are so beautiful.
Oh, okay. Returns them, and she's just as beautiful as well. Just reflection of her as always.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so the first question we want to know is, when did you first hear the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
So I'll tell you, I have a family history of members that actually were in the first. And so I had been hearing the teachers for a long time, always have just conscious. Before coming to the nation, I was a 5%er. And you know, I was a 5%er and I was out there doing the thing. But when the Honorable Minister Min Farrakhan came to the Madison Square Garden, me and obviously all my friends was like, okay, we going over here. Like, we want to go hear him, right? Because we have been hearing so much. So I tell you, we get off the subway, it was just chaos. If anybody's listening that was there, they would know. You had the Jews on one side talking about, who do we want? Farrakhan, how do we want him dead, right? And we're like, yo, what is going on here, you know? And it was just mad people. And we got the word that they had closed it off due to a fire hazard. You know, they was like, it was just way too many people. And I could just recall like sitting down on the curb and started like tears brought to my eyes. And I'm like, yo, I don't even know this man. So what is it about him that hurts me that I can't even get inside? And by Allah's grace, somebody said, yo, come around the back. Somebody had found a back entrance, and man, we was able to get in there. And I just took a seat on the step. It wasn't even no seats left in the garden. I was on the steps in the middle of the aisle. And I was just so amazed by him, and more amazed by the women that were surrounding him. And I'm like, yo, who is those women? That's who I want. That's what I want to do. Who is that? You know? And so I tell you, like not far after that, Josh, I did accept the teachings. I just know that, you know, I was very conscious at the time anyway, but it's something that Minister Ishmael shared on Sunday during his lecture that really struck a chord with me, because he was talking about, and I'm paraphrasing it, but he was talking about when you have a conscious mind and you do things in contrary that's wrong, it's like, you know, you're silencing the God within, and it's just like a fight against the grain. So as a 5%er, yeah, we was getting knowledge, we was kicking and we was building, but at the same time, we was smoking and drinking and getting high. So that's in contradiction, right? And so I said, you know what, this is where I need to be. And I thank Allah much for that day, for hearing the words through that man's mouth. I honestly won't know where I would be today if it wasn't for that. So I'm forever grateful.
Praise be to Allah. Beautiful. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I definitely didn't know about Madison Square Garden, that you were there.
Oh, yeah. You didn't know I was a 5%er?
No, nothing.
Yo, I was a rapper. I rapped.
I didn't know you rapped.
What? I got bars. Don't let me start kicking. I'll flow for you, for real.
But speaking of your bars, that makes sense going into my next question, because a lot of people who rap become drill instructors. So how did you get into drill?
Yeah, so I'll tell you, obviously, once I came into the nation and accepted the teachings, Vanguard is where I wanted to be, right? And so I did what I needed to do, locked down all my 7 units to do what I needed to do to graduate and come into the class. But, you know, just, you know, admiring, you know, just the military form regardless, even if you look at, you know, the white man's military, the Marines, and, you know, just the precision and stuff. And I said, man, and to be able to give a command for others to follow and to be exact and crisp, and you all, you know, that kind of was like my thing, right? Just making sure, but just knowing how to be able to string your words together that not only gave a message, but gave a command at the same time, but also delivered a message to you. So you can hear that. And that's where you get when you talk about the bars. And so, and I just knew, you know, I wanted to be in that position to be able to, you know, have an impact, and not an impact just on the drill in the vanguard and the sisters that were drilling, but have an impact to the ear of the person that was listening to the cadence as I was saying them.
Okay, great. Yes, ma'am. And people are showing you love on Facebook.
Oh, mad love to everybody. Mad
Yes,
love, sending them back.
I can't wait to put this on YouTube. Thanks to everyone who continues to like, share, subscribe. And my sister Mimi and Naima are in the comments, and Sister Aisha from Chicago says, all praises to Allah. This is a great story.
Praise be to Allah.
And Sister Kimberly Taylor, I think this is her first time watching, says, let them know, sis, squad for life. I'm assuming she drilled with you or something. Okay. Right. Yes, now, when I was watching the, when I came to Atlanta and I was starting to drill, you know, be the DI for the brothers here, I would watch all the old drill tapes, you know, that we would watch and use them on the cadence here before, like as practice and stuff. So one time I was teaching the brothers down on your left or special left flank march and all of this, and they like, yo, Josh is like this next level person. I'm like, you know, I know some of that, but let me tell y'all where I got this from. It was this sister named Sister Sabora who, you know, what I'm saying, doing this. You won a drill competition with 4 people. You know, were you weren't nervous about going on the stage with 4 people on stage?
You know what? I think we were so confident, and you know, we prayed about it so much, and obviously you had the heavy hitters, like we was coming up against, you know, Sister Dana and, you know, Chicago, and Sister Nusaba and down in Atlanta, you know, and even Najma in DC, Jana in New York. So all of the heavy hitters we were coming up against, and it was the very first time. But you know, Sister Gail was our MGT captain, and she had a military background. So she came from the military. So she wanted to make sure that we was right and exact when we hit that floor. I said, look, we got 4, it's 4 of us. I said, but I'm gonna tell you this, when Brother Jamil say time, we got 60 seconds and we out of there. So when he said time, we was boom, bam, boom, gone, you know. And so we just wanted to make a difference. We didn't know if we was gonna win. We just knew we practiced hard. We knew we focused on our precision, and you know, we put God first, and we rolled out. So and that was a blessing, though. And it was really a blessing and an example to others to say, no matter the numbers, right? If you could have 50, you could have 10. But if you're going out there, Allah's first, and you are precise, you're crisp, you're clean, and your routine is very creative, that you can definitely win.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, ma'am. Wonderful. And everybody who's watching should please, you know, go back and watch and study the great routines that you put forward, you know, created. My next question for you is, when you see the new generation, like the younger generation, do you ever get inspired to want to come back and drill again? Or like, how do you feel when you see people doing, you know, how you started before and then now it's like 30 people on the stage when they drill? Like,
my God. When I tell you, and I watch those sisters and even the brothers, like it just brings chills over my body. You know, I'm like, oh my God, yes, the next generation, the warriors is out there. And so it inspires me, but not to inspire me to come back to drill. Because I always think that it's a time where you pass the baton on, so those coming behind you can also have their, you know, lead the way as well as they start to groom and grow. So I just admire them. I love them. It just gives me chills just watching them, you know, and I can just thank Allah much that, you know, they've taken it to another level, you know, and that's what it's all about. So, you know, we only had a small level. Then Sister Atlanta came through, and Sister Nusaba and them came with another level. So each level is better. And it's just like your children, right? You always want your children to be and have more and be better than you were. So I love it. I'm so inspired by the youth. Praise
be to Allah. Yes, ma'am. Excellent. And Sister Aisha says, great answer. Sister Kimberly says she's watched the show before. Oh, thank you, Sister Kimberly. I didn't know you watched the show before. My sister Miriam says, Sister Sabora is such a genuine person, military yet still so empathetic, kind, and always so real, a true friend, iconic. Sister Kimberly says, great answer. Okay, everybody showing you love. Beautiful.
I loved it. I loved them. Thank you all so much, by Allah's grace. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. My next question is, did you ever get a chance, or when did you get the chance, since I know you got the chance to do the security that you saw in Madison Square Garden, to then, you know, now you're moving up and now you're in the military, now you're taking over and you're holding security. Like, what was that like?
Yeah, that was amazing. I think because we had such tremendous training from Sister Betsy Jean to Sister Charlene, I mean, to Sister Aisha, your mother, obviously, Sister Sharifa, and all those who came before us, man, really set a strong foundation for us. And so my very first time, I think when we started doing, I was in Philadelphia. Well, I actually got my ex, I was actually Sister Michelle 4X coming out of North New Jersey, which is where I resided. Okay. But after I graduated from college, my first job was in Philly. So I transferred to the Philadelphia Mosque. Top of the clock, if you out there, number 12. Big shout out to you. So, you know, in the way that the sisters came through, they would come and visit our regions. They would train us. And so we were well trained when the opportunity arose. And, you know, and so I remember being at Savior's Day. It was a Savior's Day, actually. My first assignment was with Mother Evelyn. And man, I'll tell you, I just kept praying. I prayed up all the way leading up to it, all the way through it. And then thank the Lord all the way for the next 2 weeks that nothing happened on my watch, because you just want to make sure that you do your job trumped up tight. And I thank Allah much for that, just the great training that we had, you know, and then, you know, again, being able to train those and move out the way and let those come behind us to also be able to partake in that. And then to do honor guard, my God, I thought I was going to pass out when I got tapped on the shoulder, as we call it, you know, it's like Sister Michelle. At the time, I was still Sister Michelle at the time. I wasn't even Sister Sabora the very first time that I did honor guard, when the Honorable Minister Min Farrakhan had came on the East Coast. That's when he was doing his tour. And so, yeah, it was amazing, man. I really have some great stories and camaraderie with so many of the sisters that I'm thankful for the training, you know. And every time I think about and hear about how strong is your foundation, can you survive? That's what kept us going. That's what's kept me going to today, and I by Allah's grace.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Okay, great. And Sister Aisha says, you're naming some heavy hitters, her inspiration. Sister Kimberly says TikTok. Yes, ma'am. Mother Evelyn. Okay, beautiful. My next question is, what was it like for you meeting the Most Honorable Minister Farrakhan for the first time?
Oh, wow. That was amazing. That definitely was amazing. And I met him for the very first time. Actually, we were doing security, but we were in his suite. So we had to go do the grocery shopping. We had to take the team to go, you know, Sister Amy and just, you know, all the Sister Mary Alice and everyone, take them to go shopping, making sure that we had his suite just set up. Everything had to be right in place. And, you know, that was the very first time. And when he came in, I just literally, and even today, like if I see him, my eyes just instantly water up, because I'm so grateful and thankful for him, for that word through that man's mouth. I swear to God, I don't know where I would be today. I have so many friends that are no longer here because they've gone on, some that are incarcerated, and some that, you know, I definitely still communicate with, but that could have been me. You know, when you get to the end of that road and you got to make a decision, left or right, man, I think a lot much. I went right. And so I welled up, and he just was so humble and thanking each of us for everything that we've done. And it was like, oh my God, no, sir, we thank you, you know. And so that was the very, very first time I met him, and that was at a hotel. And then another time that was very interesting. We had just come back from the Million Family March, I believe. And the minister had blessed my late husband, Brother Sabora, with his name Sabora. Yes, and we were at the palace, and they were about to board the bus, and the minister said, "Where's Sister Brother Sabora? Go get your wife." And so I came on the bus, and you know, he said, "Sister, I just want to tell you, thank you so much." He's giving me all these accolades. Like, you know how humble he is, and just he's so worthy of. It's just ridiculous. But he said, "You know, I gave your husband the name Sabora, but I want you to wear the name Sabora." He said that name means one worthy, having great patience and perseverance. I was like, to me, I said, wow. I said, okay, I'm still growing into the patience part, you know, and the perseverance. But I think that every day I thank Allah much for that. So I'm going to continue to strive to live up to that.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Yes, ma'am. Well, that definitely was one of the questions about your name. So I'm glad you said that. And my name says, all praise be to Allah. Yeah. Speaking of, you know, of your husband, Brother Sabora, I just want to make sure that people know how kind memories that we have with him and coaching and being patient with me trying to figure out my Allen Iverson crossover, but I didn't have,
never got it right.
But I had no handles at all. He was looking at me like, what is going on? You know what I'm saying? But I was figuring it out, and just being a kind friend and a good brother to us, and an uncle figure for sure. So
Yes.
I'll be pleased. And since Aisha said that's so beautiful. Okay, boom. My next question for you, ma'am, is what was the Million Man March like as a sister? What was that like?
So the Million Man March was awesome because a select few of us were able to attend it because we had to do security for our female dignitaries that were there. That was so amazing. And to just come out at the top of the Capitol and just to see all of those Black men just everywhere. It was amazing. It's kind of like we were speechless, just this like, really, like when the sun came up and to hear how many people were already on the lawn. And, being able to just be in the circumference of all of those great speakers and dignitaries, but knowing that we were getting ready to prepare for the man of God to deliver that word, it just was amazing. Just the number of people that we met, had to secure, working with the Capitol's police. And, that was an experience that I'd never forget.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. We just have a few more questions for you, ma'am.
Sure.
But I have a quick 60-second commercial break for all of the sponsors. Here we go. Hold on. For all of the sponsors of the People's Podcast, I want to thank everyone who continues to like, share, and subscribe, and to send. We get so many people on who send me random donations and who are just showing love with the Cash App. Hold on, let me go to the top real quick. All right, here we go. Okay, boom. Now let me share this. Okay, and thank you again to Sabora for your, your wonderful testimony, your transparency, and just your wonderful testimony. All right, here we go. All right, thank you everyone who continues to like, share, subscribe to People's Podcast. Please Cash App the People's Podcast. You're going to be a sponsor or a donor. My brother Rashad, Street Premier Media Production. He has a 4K camera. He has a drone. He does television and film editing. Thank you very much. Hold on one second. There we go. Boom. My sister Miriam, ABC I Love Me, children's book and coloring book, both of which are available on Amazon. Please go get those books. My sister Naima, Stay On Point Dance Academy, LLC. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country and right here in the studio in Atlanta, Georgia. Raw Communications, if you're working on a book and you need copy editing, project management, or content development, please reach out to Raw Communications. Student Minister Robert L. Muhammad out of Austin, Texas, conflict mediation, squashing the beef throughout the Southwest region. Thank you very much. His wife, Sister Fudia Muhammad, children of the Most High, giving birth to a God in the science of child rearing. Fashion Gods, Supreme Fashion Gods, 314-329-6009. They'll keep you fresh and dripping with the latest in fashion. Sister Sherry Muhammad, AsiaticMinds.com. They teach STEM virtually to young kings and queens all across the country. Brother Kenneth, Bowtie Maker Extraordinaire, he'll ship bow ties to you anywhere in the country. The Maven of Real Estate, Karima Muhammad, 470-779-3759. She'll take care of all of your real estate needs. Dr. Henry M. Carter, King Henry's Turkey Legs, right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Brother Rashad Muhammad of Chicago, COVID-19 Disinfecting Cleaning Services. My father's book, Abdul Sharif Muhammad, Soldier in the Movement of Christ, AbdulSharif.com. Last but not least, my two books, Cleopatra, which is a children's book, and No Father, No Excuse, both of which are available on Amazon. Right back to our sister. All right, boom. Here we go.
Awesome.
Yes, ma'am. Now, my next question for you is, speaking of STEM and engineering, my mother was very pleased, always talking about how smart you were and about, you working at Luce and doing all of these different things. And anytime I wanted to give up in school, she'd be like, Sister Sabora is doing this. And, so how did you get into your field?
Yeah, so thank you for that question, Josh. Interestingly, I got introduced to engineering at a really young age. And so growing up in a poverty-stricken area where we didn't have a lot of resources, there was a program called RIME, Raritan's Introduction of Minorities to Engineering. And what they would do is take what they considered to be potentially high-performing people or students that were in projects area, low-income area, and we would meet with college students at NYU, Rutgers University, or there was another college in Connecticut, but it was a tri-state program with those three schools. And so I got introduced to engineering at a young age, all the way by the time I got to high school, 10th, 11th grade, I knew I wanted to do engineering. I knew what type of engineer I wanted to be. but I knew it was going to be difficult because it was definitely a male-dominated field, as it is still today, right? I'm so grateful and thankful to see I see Vanguard STEM out there, and different programs that are geared towards helping our young Black and brown girls grasp the concepts around engineering. And so after that, I decided, you know what, I know I needed to go to HBCU school, right? I wanted to go to a historically Black college so that I could make sure I had a strong foundation. And so I'm so grateful that I was able to go to Tuskegee University. At the time, they was #1 in engineering behind North Carolina A&T. And I actually picked up a physics degree while I was there because it was very close in nature and I was only a few classes away from it. So I just felt grateful that when I was able to walk into corporate America, I was so confident in what I was doing. I knew exactly, it felt really good. And I don't think I would have been able to be as confident if I went to a PWI, which is, a predominantly white institution, just because at Tuskegee, it was a family environment. Our teachers and instructors and professors were like our aunts and uncles. They had a vested interest in making sure that we were going to be prepared when we are walking to whatever corporation we chose to go to. And so I continued to be a part of NSBE, so the National Society of Black Engineers. This is SWE, which is the Society of Women Engineers. And I'm continuing to work with our young girls around giving them the confidence that they need. Because when you're in the field with male dominant, and not only just male dominant, but more white male dominant, it can be intimidating. But when you know your stuff, boy, and you walk in there, and not on top of that, I had the teachers. So I was going into there like, okay, yep, I got this, And so I think a lot much. And so I try to do as much as I can to mentor, to give back to, anybody that needs any kind of help with, even if it's just a project or how to get started, I'm all for it. So, and that's how I got into engineering.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Yes, ma'am. Okay, great. And everybody's saying all praise be to Allah in the comments as well. What do you do for fun?
Ooh, well, first of all, I got to find the time, right? Between my busy, hectic schedule, between doing what I love doing right now and working with different organizations and things of that nature. But for fun, I'm a sports head. I grew up in a household with all men, one TV. We lived in the project, so I had to watch what they watch. So I love sports. So football, basketball, baseball. I play tennis. I love to roller skate. So those are some of the things. But one of my hobbies that I'm hoping to pick back up during my birthday next month when I turn 52 by Allah's grace, right. I used to play the alto sax. So I'm looking forward to picking that back up. Okay. Looking forward to picking that back up and just some me time with that. So I'm hoping.
Okay, wonderful. You have so many people showing you comments. Sister Consuela Carr says, beautiful. My sister Naima says, yes, ma'am, keep paving the way. Mimi and Sister Kimberly says, praise to Allah. Sister Aisha from Chicago says, as a mom with a daughter in the STEM field, she appreciates your perspective. Okay, great.
Praise be to Allah.
Yes, ma'am. And my next question for you is your advice for future mothers, because as I see, your children just winning in society and doing so many great things. Rajan, I always see him because he was around Rashad so much, but to see your daughter Delta pledging, doing this and that, I'm like, I remember vividly her like crying in the room, and I'm lifting her up, like drilling to try to put her to sleep, and then I'm like, now I'm looking at her on Facebook. I'm like,
yeah, you all were definitely the babysitters for her, and oh man, the advice that I would share is some things that I actually learned myself, because as parents, we always want more for our children, and we have our own ideas on what we want you to be when you grow up, right? And so, I think making sure, one, that they have a balanced foundation when it comes to Islam. I think that's so important because it gives them the level of confidence that they need to do and achieve whatever it is that they choose to, right? But also making sure that it's balanced, meaning it's not, they allow them to do and learn some extracurricular activities or things that they enjoy doing. And one thing, Zane had, her goal at one point in time was to go to law school. And so I was really excited about that. And when she decided that she was going to take a different direction, I was a little hurt, you know, and I was a little bit bothered. But, you know, after I prayed on it, I said a lot, you know, that's what I want for her. But what does she want for herself? And then how can I then be there to support her, to guide her, to help her to maneuver through these, you know, difficult waters, you know? So I just feel like being there for them. We have such an open dialogue and conversation that we can talk about anything, me and Rajan and Zane. And we started that at a young age. You know, they were very, very young. And we started having a lot of open dialogue, even on some difficult conversations that some parents tend to stay away from, whether it's drugs, sex, those things are real. And so to be perfectly honest, those are conversations that they should be having with me as a mom, or if their dad was here, and not learning it from Instagram, Snapchat, social media, you know, because we'll be able to give them we've lived those streets, right? We walked in those paths. And so being able to offer that advice to them, and being so that they know that if they're ever in any difficulty or trouble, the number one person to come to besides Allah is going to be your mom, your parents, right? So with that, and I feel comfortable and confident about that we have established that relationship as a parent to a child.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Yes, ma'am. And to Aisha from Chicago, you're really connecting with her, because this is the most she's ever commented. She said, "Great advice, sis." And
thank you, ma'am.
Very true. And to the Kimberly Taylor, who's watched before, says, "Absolutely. Praise be to Allah." Yes, ma'am. My next question for you is, will you ever write a book about your personal life?
You know what? That is one thing that is on my bucket list. Because, you know, I didn't take a traditional path. A lot of times people look at you differently if you don't go a traditional path. And that traditional path is the traditional American path that they think that people should go on. You know, go to high school, go to college, get a good job, didn't get married, didn't have children, and so on and so forth. I went totally opposite out of all of that, right? And for me, I think when Allah blessed me to get my doctorate degree, and I think I posted it on Instagram. It took me a while to post it, but I said, this is for all my Black and brown skinned girls who felt like you could never do it or make it and they told you that you couldn't because 1, you were a woman, 2, you're Black, 3, you grew up in the projects, 4, you were on welfare, which I was, 5, you had a child before you graduated from college, which I did, 6, you were on drugs. You know, all those things. I said, when people tell you you can't because of those things, I can. And Allah blessed me. Those were all obstacles for me. They were stair steps for me to overcome, to be able to be an example for another Black and brown girl, right? And so I thank Allah much for the life-giving teachings. They have truly saved me. I know that I would not be here today, and I said it earlier, but I know I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for these teachings. And so because of those things, I would love to help to be able to tell that story, to tell that journey. Like, everybody's journey is not the same. I always explain to my children, there's more than one way to get the Mosque Mariam. You can go down 55 on the Stevenson, you can take 290 to Eisenhower, or you can take the Bishop R. But you're going to ultimately end up at 7351 Stony, right? And so I think that is kind of, for me, what I love to share and tell that story, so that people don't think that they have to follow the footsteps of somebody else who they consider to be their role model to be great. Everybody has their own path. Everybody has their own purpose. And so, you know, Allah blesses us. We have what we need to just kind of make sure that we try to do what we can to meet and achieve the purpose that He has instilled in our lives.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Okay, I didn't know you were a minister as well. So
oh, no. That's probably the rapper in me coming out.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so this is great advice. Everybody's saying very true. Absolutely. Teach. I love it. I didn't know you got your doctorate. Okay, I got to put this on YouTube. You know, I got to make sure I, give you all your letters.
Thank you a lot much. Yes, Dr. Muhammad. Yes, sir. Yes,
beautiful.
Sir.
Okay, well, I want to thank you for coming on the People's Podcast. This means so much to me, allowing us to record your history. Please give your family the greetings. You know, you already know it's all love over here. Man, this is inspirational in more ways than you know. So I can't wait to put this on YouTube. Thank you for coming on the People's Podcast. This is Joshua Muhammad signing off. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you so much. I'm honored, and thank everybody who chimed in with some comments. I appreciate you all more than anything. Love you much.
Yes, ma'am. I love you more.
All right. Wa alaikum salam.